Okay, see, I slightly moved just a little bit so you can see the sunset. And I'm kind of like equal between the two corners of the gazebo that's going to fall down any minute. Hopefully not in my head. Proverbs 13:4. The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. Now, that's kind of going to go back up to one of the other verses that we've talked about, but let's define it. So what's the soul? The soul is a part of that's where your heart and your mind meet, and that's where God connects with us, is in our soul. Sluggards have souls. Yeah, I've met a few sluggards. They're lazy. They don't really want to do anything. They might love Jesus just like I love Jesus, but their ambition got up and went instead of got up and moved. It craves and gets nothing, because the definition of a sluggard is someone who's lazy. Think of a slug. We used to go to the woods when we were kids and run in the lake or the river, and we'd come out with leeches. A sluggard is like a leech. They kind of live off other people's merits, other people's responsibility. They don't really want to do it themselves. So they might want something, but they are really a bit too lazy to go do it. So therefore, they're not going to get anything. So then you have the soul, the spiritual part of the diligent, which the diligent person is the one who is going to put some effort in, some purpose, some reason for why they're doing what they do. Diligent is richly supplied. Okay, not just supplied. Now, there's times where I say that we're richly blessed. My grandma, I refer to grandma once in a while, she used to say, "I thank you very kindly." And we'd always say, "Grandma, can you just thank us unkindly for once?" Richly supplied is so far beyond just supplied. Now, sometime when Jim comes home, I'm going to feed him supper. It's food. He will eat it. He will be happy. Well, I don't know about happy, but he will be full. But now if I had a filet mignon and a gratin potatoes and fresh bread and pumpkin pie with cool on top, that would be richly supplied. Dream on. But it could happen. So that's kind of our definition. Okay, now if we take a look at it, what does it say? So let's just break it down. It says, if you're lazy, even if you're a believer and you love Jesus and little kids and puppy dogs, if you're lazy, you're going to want things, but it's not going to come. It's not going to happen. But if you are diligent and you have a purpose and a plan, you're going to be surprised what God's going to bless you with. Now that's about as straightforward. I don't know if I can blab on it any more of that, so let's go see what it doesn't say. It doesn't say that the soul of the sluggard is any less spiritual. It doesn't say that the soul of the sluggard isn't any more loved. It just says they want stuff and they don't get anything. I think one of the things we need to learn to do is to help people understand the difference between want and need, and teach them that they are responsible for their own lives. We live in a culture where everybody gets a trophy and people don't have to work to live. In our First in the New Testament, I think, is going to allude to that. We need to be the people to come alongside others and say, you know, think of what you could do more for God if you didn't just sit on your couch with a bag of potato chips and watch Netflix all day, if you actually put in action your faith. We need to help people. We need to give them more than just a scolding because they're lazy. We need to help them become diligent. I grew up in a very critical era, and we found fault with people left and right, but we didn't teach them. So how about if we taught the sluggard so that they get something? It may not be what the richly supplied are getting, but they're going to have some return. And it doesn't say that the soul of the diligent will always have their needs supplied, but a proverb is a generalization. Most of the time, if this is what you do, you are going to be blessed. Now, we all know there's times where we do everything right and it doesn't happen. But our soul, the heart where we meet God, and we have a purpose and a plan and a reason for what we're doing, we're going to be richly supplied because we're following the mandates of loving people. Everything that we have is God's. It's not ours. Our hands aren't around it. A sluggard will put their hands around things so tight God can't open their fists to let someone else benefit and love from it. Okay, 2 Thessalonians 3:10. For even when we were with you, we used to give you this order: if anyone is not willing to work, then he is not to eat either. Okay, now we could go a long time on the history in Thessalonians and why he said that, but I'm just going to take it for what it is, and we're just going to discuss what it is. If anyone's not willing to work, that's pretty basic. Now, there's a lot of reasons why people can't work, but the willing to work part is the thing that I think is the biggest problem in our world. We're not willing to do things. We want other things, but we're not willing to work at it. A lot of people say, I wish I could play piano like you. And I say, no, you don't. Because you didn't start at age 4 and you didn't go to college and major in it. If you played as much as I was forced to play by Mrs. Eliason in college and studied the note, there's a reason why people get accomplishment is because they work at it. Yes, there's many natural gifts, and I know that. But even a natural gift, if you never pick up the fiddle, you could be naturally gifted, but you're not even going to know how to tune it. And banjos don't tune anyway, so we won't even go to banjos. So if anyone's not willing to work, then he's not to eat either. Okay, now I don't think that's saying that if someone isn't willing to work, that you starve them to death. I don't think that's saying that. What it's saying is there's a give and take. And if you're willing to put effort forth, then it's rewarded by the simple things in life. And when you think about the day back then, I mean, today I stopped at Hy-Vee, I got groceries, I came home, I'm going to give Jim some chicken sandwich for supper tonight, and he'll have some Doritos there. Now you know what I'm going to give him. But they couldn't do that back then. They didn't have Quick Trips and Hy-Vees and Fairways. They had to actually work for their food. They had to labor, they had to make fires, they had to grind wheat, they had to work for their food. So sometimes we don't get that because everything is so convenient to us. But what we need to get is there needs to be a willingness in our heart to expend some energy to do the things that matter in life. Don't expect to get a free ride. Don't expect to have things handed to us. We have to be willing to work. And when you think about most of the parables that Jesus did, he expects the people that he was doing stuff for and with, the miracles, they had to do something. He didn't just turn the water into wine. He had those people go fill the big jugs with water. He didn't just zap it. The people that he healed, they had to get up. He had them expend some kind of work. And no, we're not saved by works, but if we're saved, we are going to be doing things that other people go, okay, now wait a minute, that's different. And we have to be willing to step out of our comfort zones and do things that perhaps are a little bit of a struggle. Now, work is called work for a reason. It's work. We just got done a couple weeks ago baling hay. Baling hay is work. It's hot work. And we've had young men show up here thinking they're going to get a good tan and make a good couple $20 bills in their pocket for an easy afternoon of haying. And they find out it's hard work, it's hot work, it's heavy bales, it's sticky, you got hay everywhere. And some of them we didn't ask back because they weren't willing to work. All they did is complain. So when you look at that verse, the soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied, and he who's not willing to work, then he won't eat. Think about that. What are you not willing to do that would apply to the eat part? There's things I'm really not willing to do, and then I'm not going to reap the benefit of that blessing. So when you think about the parable, how can I not be a sluggard? In what ways am I not a sluggard? Should I not be a sluggard? In which ways do I really need to be diligent? And what do I need to be more willing to do? Maybe it's not work, and maybe I'm not going to be eating, but there's things that I'm kind of not willing to do, and therefore I won't be richly blessed and my needs supplied. Think about that. Have a good one.